Testing, 1 2 1 2. What is going on, West family, aka the best family? Hope you guys are having a blessed and beautiful day. Welcome to the first ever episode of this series titled Flip the Switch.
I just flip the switch. Flip.
Now, I don't know when it's going to be Flip the Switch. Sundays, Mondays, Wednesdays, whenever it be, we'll figure that out. But this is a very, very first episode. And first and foremost, I want to thank you guys, to everybody who subscribed, because we passed 100,000 subscribers. Thank you for 100K. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. So here's the thing. I've been wanting to do this for a very, very, very long time, a sit-down podcast type thing. I've realized that I've taken you guys along my academic journey, my academic struggles, my success, and a lot of you guys have been asking me questions in terms of what I did, how did I get into this school, what are some study habits, whatever it may be. I get a lot of questions in my DMs, and I thought this will be the best platform and the best way to sit down and answer you guys' questions. And most importantly, to share any inspiration that I can and motivate anybody that I can, and be able to help them through my experiences, through my challenges, and not just myself, also my friends. Just on my IG live, one of my friends told us how he got his Twitter internship at the Twitter headquarters, and now how he's there full time. So it's not just my challenges, not just my experiences, what I've been through, but also people that I want to bring on board, people, friends, and successful individuals. And I've been through a lot. My route has not been traditional. I've been through a lot, and that is why I just want to be able to share that, inspire, and motivate as many people that I can to flip the switch. Before I get into all that, I want to go ahead and let you guys know who I am, where I come from, what stage in my life I'm at, and just to essentially set up the stage for what's yet to come. Okay, so my name is Wajeeh, aka wajeehwest. I'm a second-year law student at Duke University School of Law. I'm a Pakistani Muslim American, first generation, born and raised in Los Angeles. First in my family to go to college, first in my family to go to graduate school. No one in my family is a doctor, lawyer, engineer, professor. I come from a middle-class family, and the reason why I'm saying all this, because I'm not just describing myself, I'm also describing many of you guys. And that is one of the main reasons why I created this podcast, because there's many like me that are going through this, that have gone through this. When it comes to academics, we didn't really have many people that we can talk to. How do we go about navigating this? How did I even apply to law school? How do you apply to graduate school? We are so thankful for our parents for even giving us the opportunity. We are beyond blessed. But there comes a time in school when they're just not able to help us anymore, where they don't know the process of applying to certain places, applying to certain schools, or just how things work, right? And I know there's so many people that can relate with me on this, and I've just been through so much through my academic challenges and my struggles. Nothing for me has worked out the first time around. And now I'm in a top 10 law school. I'm not just saying that just to say it, but I'm trying to set the stage up and let you guys know how I got here. A common theme in my life. A common theme is this: nothing for me has worked out the first time around. I transferred into Duke Law. If anybody knows the process of law school, if anybody knows what it's like to transfer into a top 10, a top 14 law school, it is probably the hardest thing to do. And the reason why I even transferred is because my LSAT, when it came to standardized testing, was not at par to elite schools such as this. But by me not getting into the schools I want to get into the first time around, I never let that stop me. I know that I'm not naturally smart. I know when it came to standardized testing, some things just didn't click for me. A lot of people are able to just study for a month, a week, just a month, whatever it may be, and they're able to just crush it because it clicks for them. For me, standardized testing, it just didn't click, right? But I never let that stop me. What I do know is that I'm going to work hard. I know that I have to be the hardest worker in the room, and I know that I have to work 2 times, 3 times as harder than other people do to get to where I want to get to, because I'm not naturally smart, but I work hard. And that's where the idea of flip the switch comes into play. Like I said, I'm telling you guys all this to explain my background, to let you guys know where I'm at, what I did to get there, and what's yet to come in this podcast. Obviously, in our household, academics was prioritized like crazy, right? But in high school, I was involved in everything else, in basketball, in extracurricular activities. Academics was very serious, but I just wasn't at that level to where all these other people were. I wasn't at that level of the SAT. Like I bombed. I wasn't at that level of SAT to where I needed to be to get into the schools that I wanted to get into, right? I took the SAT. I bombed it. I ended up going to a Cal Poly, which is a Cal State school in California. And that's where I think flip the switch really came into play. Once I flipped that switch mentally, once I started to get myself focused and realizing this is what I need to do to achieve my goal, I need to put in X amount of hours to get to where it is. I need to work this hard to get to where it is that I want to get to. That's when I did not play any games, okay? I was on a mission. I knew that my potential was great. I knew that my potential was even greater than that. So even though that I was not able to do well in the standardized testing, which was my only weakness, my GPA was fine. I was taking honors. I was ASB president, varsity basketball, all that. My extracurricular speak volume academics were at par. My SAT is what killed me. My standardized testing is what killed me. But that's what I want to let you guys know, to never give up. Because Here's what happened next. In those 2 years of me being at a Cal State, I worked tremendously hard. I started to flip the switch. I started to focus all my energy into knowing that I can accomplish something, and I know that my potential is greater than this, and I can reach heights that I know that I'm capable of reaching, okay? 2 years later, I know GPA-wise, I was able to crush it. Even though I'm not good at standardized testing, I know that I'll be able to work hard to get the best grades that I can get. Fast forward, I ended up getting to schools like NYU. I ended up getting to USC. I ended up getting to a lot of other schools, private institutions, UCs, all that type of stuff. Ended up going to USC. Okay, I went to USC, started studying political science, knowing that I wanted to go to law school. Again, how did I get to USC? A common theme in my life is nothing for me worked out the first time around. And that is fine. Some things don't have to work out for you the first time around. Just know to never give up. If you're not good at standardized testing, just don't let that be an obstacle that stops you. Flip the switch. Literally, what I mean by flip the switch is to flip that switch mentally and just get to it. Focus yourself, get yourself organized, and get into the schools that you want to get into. Get that internship that you want. At USC, coming from a Cal State, again, I had that same mentality to flip the switch. I know that I need to work hard and get the best GPA I can to get into law school. My GPA ended up being better than the one that I was at 2 years ago at the Cal State. I ended up graduating at one of the highest honors, right? Again, how do you get into law school? I had to take the LSAT. And what is that? A standardized testing, okay? My GPA in all the schools that I want to get into, in all the top 20, top 15, top 14 schools that I want to get into, right? My GPA was at that level. I was matching it. But again, the standardized testing, my weakness. My score wasn't at par to the level of the elite schools that I wanted to get into. I ended up going to UC Hastings, which is in San Francisco. Amazing time, amazing people. One of my best friends over there. It's in the 50s ranking-wise, okay? And even then, you guys have to realize why you take the LSAT. The LSAT is supposed to measure how well you're going to do in law school. It's supposed to be indicative of your success in law school. Again, I know me. Standardized testing doesn't click with me, but when it comes to studying, when it comes to getting a routine, when it comes to working hard, I will work as hard as I can. I'll be the hardest worker in the room to achieve the grade that I want to get the GPA that I want to get, to achieve my goal. And that is what I was able to do. And now here I am. After all that, after this journey, I'm at a top 10 law school. Alhamdulillah, man. I'm at a top 10 law school. It's been a long, long journey. It's been a long, long, long ride. And I realized that I really do have to share my experiences, my challenges, my struggles, not just mine, other people as well, which I want to do in this podcast. But long story short, that is how I got to where I am today. I will get into more details in terms of studying. I'll get to more details of organization. I will get into more details of even internships. Internships was a whole nother struggle, how to apply when guys, you guys don't realize my whole life has been rejections. Like, I'm in an elite school right now, right? But people don't understand the journey of what it took to get there. People just see the end result. But what's the most beautiful thing is the journey and how you got there. This may sound cheesy, but a lot of people just see, yo, he's at this school. Wow. But they didn't realize what it took. A lot of people don't realize what it takes, and that's exactly what I want to share on this podcast. What I want to share in this series, essentially, flip the switch. And I want to echo this as much as I can, is to enjoy the process, enjoy the journey. Nothing for me. I'm an example of nothing working out for me the first time around. I'm an example of getting rejected from all the schools that I want to get into. But at the end of the day, after all those rejections came acceptances. Just to let you guys know, for me, nothing worked out the first time around. But that should not stop you. And I know many of you guys, maybe you guys will go through this. Maybe you guys have gone through this. Maybe you guys are currently going through this. But I want to let you guys know is to never let that stop you if nothing works out the first time around. Always make your own way. Always make your own path, and essentially flip the switch. Now that I've set the stage up, now I've let you guys know who I am, where I come from, where I'm at. And although I have a long, long way to go, I want to be able to inspire and motivate as many people that I can. And I hope I can continue to bring you guys along my journey, along my challenges, along my success. And that's just what it means a lot to me. And now, the structure of this podcast, essentially, I want you guys to send in questions. I have a couple of questions now. I explained this in the previous video. I want you guys to send in questions to my email, video question, written question, whatever it may be. And I'm going to play that question and answer it in this type of setting. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into our first question of the day.
Wajeeh, my name is Shobi. My question to you is, how did you flip the switch? What was the steps? Oh no.
Thank you for this question, Shelby. Thank you for submitting your question. Much love to you as well. Send you guys all the love back. Great question, because a lot of times I say flip the switch, right? But what exactly does that mean? Shelby's question is, what does it mean? What are the steps that you took to flip the switch? Flip the switch is a mindset, is essentially to take your grind to the next level, to get yourself focused, organized, and just achieve whatever it is you want to achieve through hard work. The steps to take to flip the switch can be different and can vary from person to person. Going back to after high school, after I graduated, after I wasn't able to get into the schools that I wanted to get into, here's what flip the switch came into play. For me, it started in this. I set a goal in mind, right? I went to Cal State, although it was an amazing time. Again, I met amazing people there. It was a great institution, but I knew my potential was greater. I knew that I still had this goal of getting into this certain school that I wanted to get into. Having this goal in mind and now knowing that I don't have the excuse of a standardized testing in the way, I know that I'm going to work as hard as I can to get all A's, whatever it may be. I'm going to work as hard as I can to get into the schools that I dreamed of getting, to get into the schools that I set my goal up from the very beginning. How did I do that and what's the steps that I took? First and foremost, set a goal. My goal that I set was to get into schools like USC and to get into schools like NYU. That's step number one, to set a certain goal for yourself. Step number two was realizing my goal, right? And then knowing what it's going to take to achieve that goal. And that started with self-belief. I didn't have the excuse of a standardized test in the way anymore. I had no more excuses. There were no more excuses for me to make to get the best grades that I can, to get the best GPA that I can, to be able to graduate with honors. So step number two was self-belief in realizing your goal and knowing what it's going to take to achieve that goal and knowing that there's nothing in your way anymore to make any more excuses. Step number three, as simple as it may sound, work hard. What that entails is, first things first, is to get yourself organized. I can't stress that enough, man. This was the first time that I started using calendars, that I started implementing a study schedule, setting increments of this is when I'm going to study, this is when I'm going to work out, this is when I'm going to eat. You really have to get down to that level of organization of knowing what you're going to do in that day at that precise hour. I know that sounds extreme, right? But first things first is get yourself organized. Next, focus. I can't tell you guys enough, and I know you guys can relate, the amount of times that we sit down to work, but then we end up on our phone and we waste a couple of hours and we end up, we're studying for essentially 5 hours, but the amount of work that we only did was only 30 minutes or to an hour. Focusing yourself is probably one of the hardest things to do. It is a crucial step. At the end of the day, it comes down to intrinsic motivation. What I relied on, my motivation was I had a goal set. Right? I'm going back to step number one. I had a goal set. Now I know in order to achieve that goal, I needed to have self-belief. I know that I needed to get organized and I know I need to focus myself. So in realizing that I know what it's going to take to achieve that goal, that was my motivation. I did not stop until I got there. There are more tips that I can give to flip the switch, but the main things and the main step is number one is to set that goal. Number two is realizing your goal, knowing what it's going to take to get there. Self-belief, getting yourself organized, and starting to focus and get to work and flip that switch. Again, Shelby, thank you so much for the question. There's a lot more that I can say on this, but for now, these are the steps that I think you can run with. These are the steps that it takes to essentially flip that switch and to get to where it is that you want to get to. All right, let's go ahead and go on to our next question. Wajeeh, I'm a first-year student at Stanford. It is very intimidating seeing very intelligent kids. How do I approach this problem? First and foremost, congrats on Stanford. Wow, Stanford's amazing, bro. Congrats, yo, that's amazing. I can definitely see how it can be intimidating. I'm actually going through that same thing right now. I transferred it into an elite school, and everybody that got into this school essentially crushed their LSAT. They're in the 90th percentile, if not better, give or take. Like, these people are killing it, right? It could be intimidating knowing that certain kids came from certain backgrounds, knowing that they're able to achieve this. They had an internship here, they're at the White House, whatever it may be. There's a lot of accolades that a certain student has, right? But at the end of the day, you have to realize you're at the same place, at the same position, at the same school as them. You worked as hard, if not harder, to get to that same playing field, to get to that same school. Everything that you did to get to where you got obviously meant something. Maybe you worked even harder than that person that got in. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you worked twice and 3 times as much. If that's the type of person you are, don't let go of that fire. Don't let go of that motivation. If you know that you have to work even twice and 3 times as harder than a certain students at Stanford because for them it just clicks, go and do that. I'm doing the same thing. I know probably all my life, I know that I've had to work harder than the other person just to be at that same playing field, right? I'm never going to stop that. And same with you. I don't think you should be intimidated because you have to realize that your work got to where you are and it got to where you are in the same place that that same student is. Whatever you do, don't take your foot off that gas pedal. Don't get complacent. That's the number one advice that I can give. Don't get complacent. Don't get your foot off that gas pedal. It could be intimidating, but that just gives you more of a reason, gives you more of a motivation to work hard. If you think it's intimidating, if you think that these students are brighter, then work twice as hard, work 3 times as hard, work 4 times. Like, just be the hardest worker in the room if you think that these people are smarter than you. But I know that you are so intelligent first and foremost for even getting to Stanford. So you have what it takes. Just realize you have what it takes. Don't take your foot off the gas pedal and continue to flip the switch. Again, thank you for this question. So because I gave a long introduction to this podcast, to this series, today I'm going to only answer those 2 questions. I can't stress enough that there's a lot of valuable lessons that can be learned, not only from my journey, but other people that I'm going to bring along this series, this podcast, other people that I interview, other people in different avenues, whether it be engineering, whether it be medicine, whether it be law, whether it be business, whatever it may be. This definitely is a podcast for high school students, for college students, for even people that are trying to get back into school, people that are trying to look for jobs, people that are out of school that are applying, network. Like, there's a lot of things that I've gone through, whether it be networking, how to apply to internships, how to get a job, how to get in certain schools, how to work hard. There's a lot of things that not only myself, many people, successful people that I know have gone through. And that is why I want to create this series. So again, go ahead and check the description box for more information on how to submit your questions. I can't wait. I've been wanting to do this podcast for a very long time. I'm super, super, super excited to do this. I want to inspire and motivate and help as many individuals and essentially just create a platform, because I know I have a huge audience that are going through these challenges, and I want to be able to answer as many questions that you guys have. Again, I know that I talk a lot. So just have to bear with that. But nonetheless, go ahead and submit your questions. Welcome. Be a part of Flip the Switch. Sundays, Mondays, Wednesdays. We're still figuring that out. But just welcome and be a part of Flip the Switch. I can't thank you guys enough for the 100,000 subscribers. It means so much. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe and tune in for the next episode, episode 2 of Flip the Switch. As always, much love. Stay blessed and always stay beautiful.
On me. I don't wanna die for them to miss me. Yes, I see the things that they wishing on me.